Nestor on. Nestor?
How are you?
Well, you know what? You said it perfect yesterday. I was reading your tweet. You said, you don't know how this is going to sit, this game that Suggs is now in and Kansas City's in. How's it going to sit with Baltimore faithful? And you know what? It's bittersweet to me to watch that game yesterday.
I did not. I mean, I didn't even sit and watch it. Right, like it was on, and I'm watching it, but it was hard for me to focus on it. Like to really sit there like I would on a Sunday night or a Monday night and watch a football game. It was heartbreaking. I think for any of us to think of what could have been in the moment that we would have been sitting in our stadium here on a cold day trying to go to a Super Bowl, that the feeling of that to where the reality of sitting there on Sunday, you didn't think about it once or twice. You thought about it all day, right? Like literally.
I'm still thinking about it, all right? I'm still thinking about it. Let me ask you a question. And number one, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thanks for being a part of what we do here. We've known each other 2 decades. It's great to have you on the radio on a Monday morning live here, doing what you love to do and what we love to do, which is talk sports.
Yeah, no doubt. Tennessee, watching that game yesterday, I'm thinking to myself, how in the world did they ever beat the Ravens? I really mean that. In other words, Kansas City had the wherewithal to stop that run of Henry, and yet the Ravens were unable to, and yet Kansas City marched up and down the field, and yet the Ravens kind of did, but they couldn't finish the job. And I got to tell you something, it makes me sick. Now, had we lost to Kansas City, that game would have been a pick'em game. You know that. Maybe the Ravens, I think it would have been dead pick'em. Maybe the Ravens a 1-point favorite because it was at home. It wouldn't have been shocking. But what in the hell went wrong against Tennessee? I can't define it. I don't think you can either. But, man, eating in my crow, I tell you, it's really bothering me.
Well, I think at its heart, we do the X's and O's and we talk about the game and guys get on TV in suits and talk about it. But at its visceral level, when you're playing with Derrick Henry and you're playing, and we've seen Lamar get hit hard, but nobody wants to hurt Lamar, right? And we don't want Lamar hurt. But the physical nature of the game, when the weather gets to be like this, that the Ravens did not win the physical part of the football game. And I think if you go back and you watch it, it's not a prideful thing for them to say, but I mean they went out and slapped around Seattle and New England and LA at that point in the season when they were fresh. They literally were out-quicking guys, out-toughing guys, outsmarting guys, out-powering guys, and then there was this layoff on both sides of the ball for the offensive line and the defensive line. And I think if you go back and you put the projector on from the game, you'll see that they lost the game at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And then, of course, the execution part, which was putting the ball on the ground, dropping the ball, 4th and 1s where they did not win the battle at the line of scrimmage, right? Like 4th and 1, you would say all year long for 12 weeks or 3 months, doesn't matter who theirs are. Doesn't matter what color their helmets are. Doesn't matter what field we're on. We'll do it in L.A. We'll do it in Baltimore. We'll do it in East Coast. We'll do it in Central Time. Wherever it is, 4th and 1's a down that we win. And when you don't win that down and you turn the ball over and then you turn the ball over for real, balls are going off of guys' shoulder pads. Guys are getting balls stripped, fumbling balls. I mean, the things that did not kill them when punts were getting blocked a month ago or when mistakes were happening when you're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns, those mistakes, and to some degree, if you looked at the Green Bay Packers game, I felt like, they're fumbling kickoffs. Balls going up in the air, Rodgers getting picked off. Everything that went wrong for the Packers on Sunday night, I felt like it looked like the Ravens last Saturday. I mean, those games in January when you make 3, 4, 5 mistakes and you don't get 4th and whatever, and you get penalties, and you're jumping off sides. Those are the times you get eliminated from January. That's the prescription for a 14-2 team to get eliminated, and we go back to it. Is it rust? Is it rest? Did they have too much time off? Was it the wrong matchup? Or the Titans, did they have an emotional high from winning? All the above. And, it's just this year, it was the Ravens' turn to wear that slipper.
Yeah, they wore it well. I tell you what bothered me the most yesterday. Patrick Mahomes, I think his first touchdown run was described by Romo as the best run that he's ever seen. And while it was a good run, I could think of 15 runs by Lamar that were better. I mean, there was never a better run than his touchdown against Cincinnati. Even his fourth quarter run against Tennessee when the game was out of reach, but he was fighting with his life to try and get down there. And I have to tell you something. I'm sure he watched the game, and if you think he had a chip on his shoulder this year, that chip has grown into a boulder for next year. He's got to be going nuts having to watch that after the season he had, of all his rushing yards, of over 100 yards, almost 100 yards a game, and 33 touchdowns, to sit there and have to hear, not that Mahomes isn't good, but for guys to say he's clearly the best, there's nobody like him, it's got to be killing him.
Well, I mean it's his hometown Super Bowl, too, so he will not get another chance anytime soon to do this in Miami. It'll be fascinating next week. He's going to win the MVP. Luke and I are going to be down in Miami Beach, his homeland, down there at the convention center. And we always talk about this because in the modern era, Bruce, and I know you've seen what we do at the Super Bowl, we try to set the camera up so, because the Super Bowl radio row, usually it's Tom Brady on one side, and whoever the other guy is, Jared Goff or whoever it is on the other side, right? And this year it's going to be Patrick Mahomes and the big fat head on the wall. And, and I guess on the other side it'll be Garoppolo, right? So those will be the guys up there that if Lamar is in Miami and around and picking up his MVP trophy because he's got to come down there to do that, and they parade him around a little bit, that he would see it and that would piss him off even more, right? Because I'm going to have to sit there for a week and look up at it. It always angered me seeing Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Ben Roethlisberger or whoever it's been in the modern era, especially in these years when we've been pretty good. We played a lot of good football around here the last 12 years. Bruce, those years when we almost made it to Indianapolis and almost made it to Tampa and almost made it to Miami in 9 and 10, 11, those years. And, we all relished the New Orleans thing. I'm looking forward to seeing these Chiefs fans down there to some degree. They've never done it. It's been 50 years, once-in-a-lifetime trip for them. And how Lamar responds to this, because he was the one that brought up the Chargers' loss a whole lot in the offseason, during the season, said it motivated him, and now he's got to wait 50 more weeks. All the training, all the hours, as Bill Parcells says, this is why you lift all those weights, right, to get back to that position. And I think Aaron Rodgers talked about it in the aftermath on Sunday night, that at his age, understanding how hard it is to be able to get to the point where you get on a plane and fly out to Santa Clara with one chance to go back to a Super Bowl and not make that happen, it is disappointing. And again, the Packers played like garbage on Sunday. The Ravens played like – that's usually how you get eliminated, especially when you're the home team. So you have to make a lot of mistakes, and you have to run into a hot team. Sometimes it's a hot quarterback or a hot running back or whatever that is, that lightning in a bottle. It clearly wasn't meant to be for Tennessee. And I think Kansas City, to your point, it was no gimme had they come here. But to think that Patrick Mahomes is going to get on a plane and fly into here, into the purple mess here and do it, I would have loved to have seen that. And you know what? You want to see it? Go work, Lamar. You got 50 weeks to put it together. Go get angry. Go down, pick up your MVP trophy. Go down and talk about the disappointment. And then go back and do what you did last year. What they make all those Nike commercials for, Just go work. And, nobody cares. Work harder, right? And we'll see. We'll see.
That T-shirt, that T-shirt just says it all right now. And that's the way it is. I do feel good for Andy Reid. He's still taking the heat for how he ruined the game against New England, how he bled his own clock almost when they were behind.
He's had to wait 14 years. How about that, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I can't believe it's been 14 years since he was in. That is hard to imagine.
And maybe 15 years. I have to go back and see exactly when that game was, but go for it, yeah.
And Shanahan, of course, took a lot of heat when Atlanta kind of tried to run out the clock against New England and ran themselves into defeat. And so it's kind of a little redemption for both of them to get back. But But I have to tell you something. Watching both games yesterday, this guy, Raheem Mostert. I mean, Derrick Henry looked good. This guy looked unbelievable, and he also looked good against the Ravens. You remember when he turned that corner and said goodbye to the team? I mean, he was something against the Ravens. Little under the radar, very little. But who do you like in the big one?
Well, this is even, Matt. Who do I like? I'm going to root for the Kansas City Chiefs. I have no disdain at all for the 49ers. I was never really a big Kyle Juszczyk or Terrell Suggs fan, to be honest. So one of those cats is going to win a Super Bowl. I'm in the Andy Reid camp. And it has been 15 years, by the way. That Super Bowl was played in February 6th of 2005 with Donovan McNabb. And and I guess that's the thing for coaches, right? Like, I know you're a college basketball guy, and you don't love Coach K, you don't love Tom Izzo at this point, but there's going to be a point where those guys move on. The coaches don't move on, but the players do. We're a long way from Donovan McNabb and that cast of players. Some of those guys, Dawkins, some of those guys in the Hall of Fame now, right? 15 years later. And Andy Reid is still trying to do this thing, right? I mean, the Eagles have won. Philadelphia's won. Kelsey's brothers won, right? They've all won. Andy Reid hasn't won. And Marty Schottenheimer never won, right? Like, so some of these, Dan Marino never won. Jerome Bettis almost didn't win, right? Hall of Famer Bill Cowher finally did win after losing all the. We'll talk about that one next time about whether he's a Hall of Famer. But this is a chance for Andy Reid to become a Hall of Famer, right? Like, he has had a Hall of Fame kind of career other than winning this game and getting to this game only one time. How rarefied is that air? Andy Reid's been trying for 20 years in two quality organizations with double-digit wins almost every year, and this is his chance to finally hold the trophy. So if I'm there in Miami and Andy Reid's holding that silver trophy, I would say there's a good man who's earned it. I can feel that way about him. Not that I can't feel that way about Shanahan or John Lynch or Garoppolo. I just feel like I hope it's Kansas City's time. I really do.
You made a statement about me. I might not like Coach K, and I might not like Izzo. Let me clarify that. I love Coach Izzo. This is Nestor, if I called him right now and he was awake, he would come on this show. That's the kind of guy he is.
But we're going to miss those guys when they're gone. And the coaches are what hold the game because the players come and go, right? Like, literally, the fact that Andy Reid's still – Mahomes will have, 15 more years and chances to do this. This is the end for Suggs, right? Like, Suggs – if Andy Reid's holding the trophy, Terrell Suggs will be holding the trophy, and Mahomes and all of that. And then they become the hunted next year. They'll open the season at home. They'll have a parade. They'll have all that. And it'll be our chance to go knock them off next year. And I love that. I love that about sports. And I do love that we've gotten some oxygen from Brady and Belichick. Because you know what I mean? Like, this is a fresh story almost all the way around. And John Lynch trying to build a Hall of Fame career like Ozzie Newsome on the merits of being like John Elway, creating a Super Bowl champion, Garoppolo being identified and drafted by Belichick and then given up on a 41-year-old Tom Brady, and now he's got a chance to go win. This is it's a delicious story. I mean, and two good football communities that have been beaten around and downtrodden, showing up in the sun. I'll get through this. I mean, it's never going to sit well with me, but this is what sports is. I mean, only one team wins,
We move on, but let me finish my statement. I really don't dislike Coach K. I hate him. Okay, I don't dislike him. I hate him. I've had run-ins with him myself. I was virtually tossed out of a press conference one time because I asked a very innocent question, and he went ballistic. And this guy is the most smug, arrogant guy on the face of the earth who's been blessed. If any coach had 5 of the 7, or let me put it to you this way, had 3 first-round draft picks and 5 of the 7 best players in the country in the same year and did what he did last year, they would get blitzed. They would get just destroyed. He gets a pass. All right? And it just gets me. It always has. look, I'm not going to deny his success.
I did not know of totally of all of this disdain on Coach K. So this is delicious. I brought up both ends of the spectrum, right? Like literally a guy you love and
you
a guy
touch the nerve, as they say.
Well, but I would say with Andy Reid, nobody feels that way about Andy Reid, right?
No, you can't. You can't. There's no way in the world. I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, Kansas City's a 1-point favorite right now. It started off at Pick'em. It went right to 1. I can't see any way Kansas City doesn't win. I can't. There is just no way that when you're in the big game, give me the big quarterback, give me the right guy. And there's no offense to Garoppolo, he is nowhere near Pat Mahomes. All right. And I think that Kansas City, it's going to be close. It's going to be a fight.
I think the Niners are going to bring their defense. I think it's going to be a really good football game. And I'll say that going right up to it. I mean, I think this is a 1-point game. I mean, I think this is a real discussion, right? And I don't say first time in a long time, but this is going to be a fun game to discuss because I think the action will be 50-50 down the middle on this. I really do.
Well, Nestor, have a great time in Miami. As you know, we got to go to a break, but I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you giving me this time of the morning on Monday. This is a great time. What a great time to have a radio show after all that happened this weekend. And I appreciate you giving that to me.
All these years of having a station, all you want is for people to enjoy it. So, hey, man, enjoy your Monday mornings. Great having you aboard, Bruce, Carl, the whole family, everybody, Science Kirk, everybody for supporting us. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, have a good day.
Cheers.
All right, with that, we'll head out to our first break. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Science of Kirk Presents In the Nest. Carl Science is out of the house. And if you think I'm ranting about Coach K, wait till you hear my rant about baseball, because I am besides myself, absolutely besides myself about this Jose Altuve grabbing the shirt thing. I've never seen anything like this in sports. It's almost incomprehensible, the guilt that's written all over him, and now he's taking an arrogant attitude about it almost. Back in a few minutes here on WNST Radio 1570.